He is one of the nation's leading experts in forensic sciences and the criminal justice system, and his public commentary has been published in virtually every media outlet. Chris Fabricant is here today to discuss his new book, Junk Science and the American Criminal Justice System, an insider's journey into the heart of a broken, racist system of justice and the role junk science plays in maintaining the status quo. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So how did you end up getting into this field of forensic science?
Well, you know, I'm a second-generation public defender, so I've been involved in criminal defense and criminal legal system my entire career. And really, you know, anybody that works in my field will end up using or challenging forensic sciences. So I didn't really become expert in it until I went to the Innocence Project and it became my job to litigate against the admissibility of so many of the techniques that I talk about in junk science.
And give us a sense of those techniques, what you call junk science.
Well, just to be clear about what junk science is and what I mean when I say that, it's really what I describe it as in the book is subjective speculation masquerading as scientific evidence. And so this is training and experience-based evidence that really has no empirical basis. There's been no scientific research that supports it, and usually it emerges from a crime scene rather than a science laboratory, and it's not tested before it's used in criminal trials. So with that type of evidence, which is many, many techniques that I talk about, like blood spatter evidence and bite mark analysis and hair comparison evidence, and the list of discredited forensic techniques is pretty long.
Why is it so unreliable?
It's unreliable because it's not based in valid scientific research, because it hasn't been demonstrated reliable. It's been used in criminal courts successfully to gain convictions, but it hasn't been tested outside the adversarial system of criminal law, which is a terrible place to try to sort out sense from nonsense.
But somebody might say, well, a bite mark, it seemed like it matched their teeth. And so what's the discrepancy here?
It makes some intuitive sense, and still you start thinking about it critically, right? So like a bite mark, for example, a dentist will come and photograph this bite mark maybe 2 days after either somebody has passed away as a result of a homicide or somebody in an assault, you know, is healed. So the skin has changed over those couple of days, right? So maybe you match one day, you don't match the next day. We don't have any idea like how much skin changes or what it looked like when it was first inflicted, and there's no evidence that anybody, including the experts themselves, are capable of identifying a human bite mark as one. You know, some of the cases that I talk about in the book they look like cloud formations to me and to anybody else, right? The only ones that I know of are like when toddlers come home from daycare, you see those types of bite marks. You never see those in case law.
And you call this endemic in our justice system. What's the way to solve it?
You know, at the Innocence Project, we advocate for upstream fixes, right? And so we need an agency like the FDA that deals with forensic sciences, right? So like consumer products like toothpaste, aspirin, those are tested before they're unleashed on the general public for safety reasons, for health reasons, right? We don't do that at all with forensic sciences. There's nothing standing behind a use of junk science except for a judge. And judges make those decisions based on individual cases. They don't think about systemic issues. And that's how it gets into law, because one decision is enough to create legal precedent that will use again and again and again without ever actually being tested. And judges, when they make decisions about what kind of evidence they're going to use, they don't look to scientists. They look at case law. And case law, one bad decision, like I've tracked in the book, can lead to over 35 wrongful convictions if we're talking about bite mark evidence.
And when you're talking about people who've already been convicted of these wrongfully, what can they do? Is there any option that they have to turn to?
Well, they have to come to the Innocence Project, you know what I mean? But the trouble often is, and one of the stories in the book that I tell is the Stephen Chaney story, because there was no real DNA evidence used to try to free an innocent person, but he'd been convicted on junk science, including polygraph, bite mark, presumptive blood tests. They were all false. And what happens with that is that, you know, if we don't have DNA evidence to prove his innocence, it's almost impossible to overturn a conviction. There was years and years and years of litigation, and finally a district attorney who had to agree with us that he was innocent, and then the Texas High Court had to agree that he was innocent too. So all of this was a 1 in a million shot to even get a conviction overturned. So, and that's just somebody who won the lottery by the Innocence Project taking up their case.
What made you so passionate about this that you decided, let me write a book about junk science?
You know, I knew that I was litigating, you know, incredible cases and having experiences that I really wanted to share with the everybody, because few people have gone down into the Mississippi Delta and been in these tiny little courthouses in the middle of nowhere and saw how the criminal justice system plays out for real on the ground, and the way junk science can be used to wrongfully convict somebody without really any resistance put up to that type of evidence at all.
Chris Fabricant, we thank you so much for joining us today. And his book, Junk Science and the American Criminal Justice System, is out today and available now wherever books are sold.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.